Hello, welcome back. The Minister for Primary Industries in New South Wales issued a press release announcing the successful reforms after 1 year. Now, just to give you a bit of insight, I'll give you 3 fisheries, which are the estuary meshing, the estuary hauling, and handlining in the estuaries. Now, I've broken it down into regions 1 through 7. And you can find the regions where they are on the DPI website, and I'll put the link on my website, www.commercialfishingmedia.com. I'll also put it in the description of the video. So, estuary meshing. And these figures were updated in November, so they are very recent figures. Region 1, 61% of the fishers can only work 55 days in a year. Region 2, 73% can work 73 days. 3, 54% can work 90 days. Region 4, 55.9% can work 93 days. Region 5, 16% can't work at all, but still have to pay management fees on those shares, which is a touch over $1,100 a year. And 36% of Region 5 can only work 64 days. Region 6, 48% can work 75 days in the year. Region 7, 52.6% can work 78 days. That is the mesh fishery. Overall, not very good. Not what I would deem as success. Estuary hauling. Region 1, 85.7% can work 74 days in a year. Region 2, 80.9% can work 96 days. Region 3, 100% of the fishers can work 60 days in a year. Region 4, 73.7% can work 60 days in a year. Region 5, 92.8% can work 85 days of the year. Region 6, 50% can work 60 days of the year. And Region 7, 80% of the fishers can work 60 days of the year. That is the estuary hauling fishery. Now we go over to handlining. Now handlining is a bit different. They've raised the minimum shareholding from 125 shares up to 375 shares. So, I have just done the percentages of the number of fishers in each region that can't work anymore, still pay to hold their license but cannot work that endorsement. So, Region 1, 55.5% cannot work, still pay fees. Region 2, 50%. Region 3, 59.2%. Region 4, 54.6%. Region 5, 79.4%. Region 6, 60%. And Region 7, 80% of the fishers that pay management fees on the handlining shares in the estuary cannot use them. Still, sound like success? I don't know. Especially considering $16 million was spent on a share trading system that was supposed to allow these fishers to buy their jobs back. Looking at these figures, it didn't work. Crazily enough, we actually told them it wouldn't work. Now, I interviewed Mary Howard, the Secretary of Wild Caught Fishers Coalition, and we went through the minister's media release bit by bit. So after this, I will bring her in. Hello, Mary Howard. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Dane.
That's good.
Surviving the dramas and traumas of a commercial fisher's life.
The New South Wales Government's commercial fishing reforms have ensured viability and certainty for New South Wales fishers as the $16 million reform program commemorates 1 year. Viability and certainty. Is that the case?
Definitely not. And to make such a bold statement as they have ensured, which means that will happen, that is fact, it is incorrect. And we don't have a certainty of viability with a debt that's exorbitant. How can you claim that fishers are insured of any future?
So there's debt in the industry.
Definitely there's debt. And for a minister to say we've issued an estimated $80 million worth of new shares, and give a figure of the value of 80 million, people have had to shift assets. They've had to take cash or borrow to be able to purchase and buy their rights to re-establish their ability to fish and to catch a product that they once could catch under their access shares that they had. So it's a shifting of asset, whether that is in a process of borrowing or a process of having the cash asset and you've had to transfer it into shares to do exactly what you were doing before if you could get the shares or the quota that you needed. Many fishers haven't got that. So we're a long way from viability, and we're a long way from being insured of that viability with the debt that's currently in the industry.
And did they need this quota naturally, or was this as a result of the reform?
As a result of the reform, the intent of the reform was to bring in quota and to bring in days' work where quota wasn't appropriate. That was one of the intents of the reform. Apart from the intent to reduce inactive effort and assist active effort, which they activated inactive effort anyway.
Right. So continuing on, Minister for Primary Industries Niall Blair said the reforms are strengthening the commercial fishing industry, making sure there continues to be a steady supply of locally caught fresh fish.
Interesting. How can the minister make such a claim when across the state we have co-ops that are struggling to know whether they're going to be there in 6 months, struggling to manage the outputs that they have every day? There's no figures presented in the minister's media release.
Next up, I have Richard Brown from Markwell Fisheries. He's the General Manager, and he's going to give us a bit of insight on how the reforms have affected that business, the business side of the land-based business side of commercial fishing reforms. That the reforms in New South Wales have ensured viability and certainty for New South Wales fishers. As someone as a big part of the industry and general manager of Markwell Fisheries, is that how you would rate the reforms?
No, absolutely not, Dane. And I don't think the vast majority of commercial fishers in New South Wales would agree with that either. I put it down to the fact that there's an election coming up, and the minister's going to be scrambling to retain his position and place, as all the other members are, throughout the state. So the last thing they require is bad news to be assimilated into the community and such. And the way we view it is this is the absolute most important time to now get out to everybody, be it our members or new candidates, to let them know exactly the damage that's been caused by this reform.
So Markwell Fisheries are buyers of a lot of New South Wales product and also Queensland, and I'm sure other states as well. And dealing with wild caught product has to be hard as a buyer in the first place, even when things are good. Has this reform, from what you've seen, made it even harder, or has it made it better?
No, absolutely, it's made it harder. We've been in this business for 30 plus years, and I've had a lot of contacts with a lot of fishermen, all over the country. I've never seen things as tight as they are now with supply. We're receiving constant calls just for local product. The table fish that we've taken for granted, I guess, over the times. Your staple fish that supply mullet is obviously during the travelling season, that's a core part of our business. But in the off season, generally in our region, and I'm sure it's the same across down along the state, there's always been a constant, steady supply to the shops and the retailers that they could rely and depend on. This year, being 12 months into the reform, is the first time that I've seen the point where not only one or two shops, but a multitude of businesses are approaching us, constantly on a daily basis, looking for supply. So that's the impact that it's had, and that's what's happening now. I think is that we're starting to see the fallout further down the line to the downline stakeholders. We knew it was going to impact fishermen directly and straight up, but now it's starting to get a hold on downline stakeholders, and they're just starting to realise what the impacts and what has occurred.
Yeah, you only have to look at the co-ops and how much some of those co-ops are struggling.
Absolutely, and I think the other thing too is that you put a lot of resources into the logistics of managing the business, the size of this one in particular, and all of a sudden you're left with equipment sitting idle, with staff sitting idle. And the thing that I find it most difficult to deal with is the fact that this was so unnecessary.
Thanks for watching. Please like, share and comment on my videos. If you would like to support commercial fishing media, you can do so at Patreon. $2 a month to show your support, $5 a month to show your support and get early access to content. Thanks again. I'll see you later.